So, welcome to the first episode of I Love Awful Things, the show where I enjoy awful movies and video games and music, and I show them to my brother and explain why I love them. The first episode is gonna be Never Cry Werewolf. It's a little movie made by, obviously, a small production team. It opens pretty cool. All foggy and eerie, and there's a kill within the first 5 minutes. I love a movie that gets right to the point.
It's nice to note that this man was a sexual offender.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of chins, as shown in his, identification poster outside his house.
Oh, yeah. And, within the first 5 minutes, this eerie fog rolls into town. And the main character looks out the window, and they openly address how spooky the fog is. And I don't think enough scary movies do that.
Just tell you right away that that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. I have in my notes that I found the dialogue charming.
Yeah, I think I have somewhere in here where they're very disconnected. I don't find that charming, I find that rushed, and they could have just done another retake.
Yeah, but the dialogue itself, the way it's written, was stupid, but I like it. When the bad boy werewolf shows up into town, the one who had just killed the sex offender so he could move into the house, they refer to him as a stud muffin.
Do they really? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, they straight up just call him a stud muffin. And then, within the next 3 lines, her friend's like, well, I guess it's time to cruise to school.
Because she had just gotten into a car. 11 minutes in, he shows up to school on a motorcycle with the main character's little brother. She touches his palms somehow and mentions he has hairy palms, and her friend says, he must be a werewolf then, when there was no prior mention of werewolves or anything.
Yeah. For some reason, when you're a werewolf, you get hairy palms. I just want to address that now. The whole hairy palms myth. They blatantly use it for werewolves here, and there's no hiding where they actually got it from.
And every time he shows up around this main character, what's her name,
Lauren.
They look at each other, I don't know.
Bedroom eyes. Yeah, there's lots of bedroom eyes in this movie.
And he's 30 to 40 years old, she's in high school. No comment there, I guess.
I liked the dogs absolutely hate each other. Their dog and the neighbor's dog.
Yeah.
They're having this all-out barking battle, and the worst foreshadowing I think I've ever seen is these dogs hate each other. Then she walks into the house looking for her brother. Just walks right in, right? And their dog's just freaking out. And the guy comes downstairs and he's like, she's welcome here. And the dog stops. And the girl just looks at him and goes, it's like he understands you. If I told my dog to shut up, it'd stop too. It doesn't mean anything.
20 minutes in, he's standing on top of his shed or something, and he reads this girl's pin on her coat wrongly. He reads the wrong thing off of her coat. And she's like, you must have great eyesight.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. And then they got this hunter, Red Tucker. They just passively mention him in the background.
He's on the TV.
Yeah, he's going to be important in the story later. I thought that was good, because you'd have to really listen to notice it the first time.
This main character's friend has some of the best dialogue. 23 minutes in, she says, geg, or something. I don't remember what she was saying that about.
That's what she referred to her friend. There's a line before the whole gag thing where they legitimately just say, that Pope guy hung himself, referring to the sex offender, but they named the sex offender Pope. That had to be consciously done. They couldn't have said, your neighbor hung himself, or the sex offender hung himself. It had to be, that Pope guy, he hung himself. And when she's walking to school, she's a vegetarian. I don't know why they mention that at all.
It doesn't make any sense.
Her friend's like, you want to get some pizza? And she goes, I'm a vegetarian.
Vegetarians can eat pizza.
And her friend's like, well, silly, you can just have veggie and cheese pizza. And she goes, where do you think the cheese comes from? That's basically liquid meat.
And that's exactly how vegetarianism works.
But, yeah, also, how many cheeses have you had, even on pizza, where it's like, this is just liquid? My cheeses have all been solid. The reason I bring that up is, she immediately is not vegetarian after saying that. She says that, no longer vegetarian. She eats pizza later, she eats eggs later, she mows down on a giant chicken later. Like, she eats a whole chicken.
Yeah, the point where she's eating that huge pizza, she has pepperonis on it. And this, I believe, is before her brother...
She has liquid meat on it, too.
I believe this is before her brother talks to her about eating the eggs.
Yeah.
And she says, my body's craving protein.
Oh, that's stellar writing.
I noticed that every time the main character's brother had a chance, called her stupid. I guess that's just the way siblings are.
Yeah, every chance you get, you call me stupid.
Even, like, at the end, when she's trying to help him out, he's like, you're stupid for falling into this trap.
There's a specific scene where she Googles a whole bunch of werewolf facts right before she eats the pizza, actually. That's exactly how I found this movie. I just Googled werewolves. Like, one night with our dad, just like at midnight, we Googled werewolves, and then we just watched this stupid film.
And then you had to show it to me later.
She goes out and she rents a whole bunch of werewolf movies, and she just binge watches werewolf movies. Also, exactly how I found this movie. When her friend goes missing, and she's ripped in half by a werewolf, the line actually reads, when she looks down and sees her own blood and guts everywhere, she looks down and goes, ew.
Yeah. That's just not the reaction that you'd have when you're getting cut open.
The police show up, they make an anonymous tip the night before, and the police show up, and she thinks, when she makes an anonymous tip, that the police wouldn't know who made the tip.
Yeah, a lot of people think that, actually.
But
they record your phone number, they look up where that was from.
Yeah, when you make an anonymous tip, it's anonymous to the person you're making the tip about, not anonymous to the police. But her friend goes missing, and the police show up and are asking her questions. Because, she made this anonymous tip, and they're talking about this guy next door, and they say, we looked him up, he had no priors. And her response to that is, well, maybe he's just never been caught. That is a valid point to make to the police. They go over and they check, and she undoes everything she's just done. She walks into the basement that obviously she had to have been in the house before to see, and they openly address that too, like, you can see into his basement. Like, she's obviously been snooping around his house before.
Yeah.
It's obvious to the police. But she goes to this freezer, and it used to be locked, but it's not now. And he's about to open it, and the police just go, what's in the freezer, Lauren? Like, they're accusing her of what's in this freezer.
Yeah.
Not accusing the guy. She acts crazy in front of the police. Like, she totally acts guilty. And then she just blurts out that he's a werewolf. Like, she has no prior evidence. Like, his palms are too hairy to hide. That's about it.
When she goes to show the police that his palms are hairy, he had shaved them. Like, because why wouldn't you shave them? When the delivery guy shows up at their house to deliver the chicken, he asks about her friend that went missing, and she literally says, she's dead, keep the change.
Yeah, that's just great dialogue.
Pushes him out.
Well, she's a badass at that point.
I don't think so.
No, she totally is. Like, what's the next thing she does besides eat a whole lot of chicken? The absolute next thing that she does, she goes down to that gun store. There's a cool transformation. The guy's dog that he could talk to and that understood him transforms into this demon hellspawn.
Yeah. And I noted that it was really good CG for a low-budget film.
It was fantastic. It's like the best scene in the whole movie. And then there's like this scene, because of course they gotta kill this hellspawn. And of course the only way to do that is with silver. So the only way to do that is to take keychains that are bullets, load them into a gun, and then shoot the whole keychain.
Right.
Not just the bullet bit, and then eject the shell like normal. Even though that would be dumb, but the whole keychain comes out. Then like multiple keychains come out all at once.
With the bullet casing and the ring and the...
Yeah, the whole thing. Like 3 of them go flying out. That's my... If I had to say there was one thing I didn't like about this movie, and this is honestly the one thing I don't like about this movie, they have no idea how guns work. The chicken delivery guy gets bit by the werewolf, and there's just this scene where they're sitting on the bed together, even though she's expressed no interest in this boy. And he's like sniffing her all over. It was creepy and weird. She notices that the boy's palms are hairy. She points it out, and he legitimately responds, "No, they're not. That's just a myth."
He was going to say that.
Well, he gets cut off, but that's what he's saying. You can tell. He finds out that he's going to be a werewolf, and he just looks at her and goes, "My parents are going to freak." And you openly laughed at that, and you can't deny.
Well, maybe they really got me on that one.
And then there's this whole big ending. After she goes to Red Tucker for help, and he declines, and she says, "The people are gonna die." They have this whole big scene where she's getting ready to go fight this thing. Red Tucker shows up at the last minute. They go through the whole... There's this trap that gets set, and she goes in to save Kyle, and she takes the tape off Kyle's mouth, and he yells, "You're an idiot!" Then the ending, it ends kind of generic, with the whole kill the werewolf at the last minute, with the silver bit of the gun.
Yeah.
They're out of
But the way
arrows.
you kill them with the silver bit of the gun is by putting it in a crossbow. Putting the barrel of the gun in the crossbow and firing at him.
Yeah. There's something I have to address before we close.
What's that?
This movie is Fright Night.
Oh, yeah.
If you've ever seen
It's scene for scene.
the original Fright Night, Never Cry Werewolf is the same. They copy everything.
Every plot point except for 2 things. The guy's a werewolf, and the main character is female.
So in summation, I love this film. I think it's not scary. It's not funny. It's not good.
But you
I just
like it.
love it.
You like it.
I love it. It's wonderful. There's something about it. I can tell the people tried. They didn't try hard enough.
They did
But
try.
they tried. They didn't write anything original. They didn't have an original character in the movie. The creepy guy from this movie is just the creepy guy from Fright Night. The hero that sweeps in at the end, that you find out halfway through the movie is really a sham, is that character in Fright Night.
I'm going to have to go with the IMDb score on this one. I think it's somewhere around a 4.9.
Would you watch it again?
I don't think so.
See, I've seen this movie twice, and I would watch it a 3rd time.
I don't think this deserves a rewatch.
It totally does. I would watch this movie every year on Halloween.
You can watch it, just make sure I'm not around at the time.
Fair enough. Well, I think that's going to do it for this first episode. This is MD Odell and Tim Odell signing off. It's a little movie.
Shut up, Kyle!